Nikola Tesla. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. I don't care that they stole my idea. I care that they don't have any of their own. Of all things, I liked books best. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. Be alone, that is the secret of invention. Be alone, that is when ideas are born. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. The present is theirs, the future, for which I really worked, is mine. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the whole world. I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men. What we now want is closer contact and better understanding between individuals and communities all over the earth, and the elimination of egoism and pride which is always prone to plunge the world into primeval barbarism and strife. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment. Everyone should consider his body as a priceless gift from one whom he loves above all, a marvelous work of art, of indescribable beauty, and mystery beyond human conception, and so delicate that a word, a breath, a look, nay, a thought may injure it. I do not think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. Let the future tell the truth, and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future, for which I have really worked, is mine. All that was great in the past was ridiculed, condemned, combated, suppressed, only to emerge all the more powerfully, all the more triumphantly from the struggle. Life is and will ever remain an equation incapable of solution, but it contains certain known factors. We crave for new sensations but soon become indifferent to them. The wonders of yesterday are today common occurrences. What one man calls God, another calls the laws of physics. Invention is the most important product of man's creative brain. The ultimate purpose is the complete mastery of mind over the material world, the harnessing of human nature to human needs. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation, and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. I am credited with being one of the hardest workers, and perhaps I am, if thought is the equivalent of labor, for I have devoted to it almost all of my waking hours. But if work is interpreted to be a definite performance in a specified time according to a rigid rule, then I may be the worst of idlers. You may live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. The gift of mental power comes from God, divine being, and if we concentrate our minds on that truth, we become in tune with this great power. My mother had taught me to seek all truth in the Bible. The individual is ephemeral, races and nations come and pass away, but man remains. What we now want most is closer contact and better understanding between individuals and communities all over the earth, and the elimination of that fanatic devotion to exalted ideals of national egoism and pride, which is always prone to plunge the world into primeval barbarism and strife. But instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have, undoubtedly, certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction, or any other willful effort of the brain, is futile. I am part of a light, and it is the music. The light fills my six senses. I see it, hear, feel, smell, touch and think. Thinking of it means my sixth sense. Particles of light are written note. O bolt of lightning can be an entire sonata. 1,000 balls of lightning is a concert. For this concert I have created a ball lightning, which can be heard on the icy peaks of the Himalayas. It's not the love you make. It's the love you give. Most persons are so absorbed in the contemplation of the outside world that they are wholly oblivious to what is passing on within themselves. Every living being is an engine geared to the wheelwork of the universe. Though seemingly affected only by its immediate surrounding, the sphere of external influence extends to infinite distance. My method is different. I do not rush into actual work. When I get an idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination. I change the construction, make improvements, and operate the device entirely in my mind. The scientific man does not aim at an immediate result. He does not expect that his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. His work is like that of the planter, for the future. His duty is to lay the foundation for those who are to come, and point the way. He lives and labors and hopes. Marconi is a good fellow. Let him continue. He is using 17 of my patents. Most certainly, some planets are not inhabited, but others are, and among these there must exist life under all conditions and phases of development. Inventors don't have time for married life. So astounding are the facts in this connection, that it would seem as though the Creator, himself had electrically designed this planet. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment and merging of races, and we are still far from this blissful realization. Nij mi zau sto su ukrali moj idij, vek sto nisu imali svoj. I had a veritable mania for finishing whatever I began, which often got me into difficulties. On one occasion I started to read the works of Voltaire when I learned, to my dismay, that there were close on 100 large volumes in small print which that monster had written while drinking 72 cups of black coffee per diem. It had to be done, but when I laid aside the last book I was very glad, and said, never more. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Great moments are born great opportunity. As I review the events of my past life, I realize how subtle are the influences that shape our destinies. If he, Thomas Edison, had a needle to find in a haystack, he would not stop to reason where it was most likely to be, but would proceed at once with the feverish diligence of a bee, to examine straw after straw until he found the object of his search. Just a little theory and calculation would have saved him 90% of his labor. The progressive development of man is vitally dependent on invention. It is the most important product of his creative brain. It is not in the shallow physical imitation of men that women will assert first their equality and later their superiority, but in the awakening of the intellect of women. The scientific man does not aim at an immediate result. He does not expect that his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. His work is like that of the planter, for the future. His duty is to lay the foundation for those who are to come, and point the way. There is something within me that might be illusion, as it is often case with young delighted people, but if I would be fortunate to achieve some of my ideals, it would be on the behalf of the whole of humanity. There were many days when I did not know where my next meal was coming from. But I was never afraid to work. I went where some men were digging a ditch, and said I wanted to work. The boss looked at my good clothes and white hands and laughed to the others, but he said, "All right. Spit on your hands. Get in the ditch." And I worked harder than anybody. At the end of the day I had $2. All perceptible matter comes from a primary substance, or tenuity beyond conception, filling all space, the akasha or luminiferous ether, which is acted upon by the life-giving prana or creative force, calling into existence, in never-ending cycles, all things and phenomena. I hold that space cannot be curved, for the simple reason that it can have no properties. It might as well be said that God has properties. He has not, but only attributes, and these are of our own making. Of properties we can only speak when dealing with matter filling the space. To say that in the presence of large bodies space becomes curved is equivalent to stating that something can act upon nothing. I, for one, refuse to subscribe to such a view. Of all things I liked books best. We are all one. Only egos, beliefs, and fears separate us. When natural inclination develops into a passionate desire, one advances towards his goal in 7-league boots. The progressive development of man is vitally dependent on invention. One has to be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. One day I was handed a few volumes of new literature unlike anything I had ever read before and so captivating as to make me utterly forget my hopeless state. They were the earlier works of Mark Twain, and to them might have been due the miraculous recovery which followed. 25 years later, when I met Mr. Clemens and we formed a friendship between us, I told him of the experience and was amazed to see that great man of laughter burst into tears. A new idea must not be judged by its immediate results. Instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have, undoubtedly, certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction, or any other willful effort of the brain, is futile. Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. The scientists from Franklin to Morse were clear thinkers and did not produce erroneous theories. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. From childhood I was compelled to concentrate attention upon myself. This caused me much suffering, but to my present view, it was a blessing in disguise, for it has taught me to appreciate the inestimable value of introspection in the preservation of life, as well as a means of achievement. One's salvation could only be brought about through his own efforts. Einstein's relativity work is a magnificent mathematical garb which fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind to the underlying errors. The theory is like a beggar clothed in purple whom ignorant people take for a king. Its exponents are brilliant men, but they are metaphysicists rather than scientists. Let one concentrate all his energies in one single great effort, let him perceive a single truth, even though he be consumed by the sacred fire, then millions of less gifted men can easily follow. Therefore it is not as much quantity as quality of work which determines the magnitude of the progress. Genius is its own passport, and has always been ready to change habitats until the natural one is found. The idea of atomic energy is illusionary, but it has taken so powerful a hold on the minds, that although I have preached against